Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you've never been here before. Today I have my dog Ember with me. She's laying. And I'm going to be talking to you about first-time dog owner tips. I had this as a requested video. One of my good friends is thinking of getting a dog and knows that I'm a dog owner and wanted to hear a few tips from me, so here we go. If you've never owned a dog, if you haven't had a puppy in a while, and you're just curious, what are some go-to tips? This video is for you. So the first piece of advice I'm going to give is to pick the kind of dog that you're going to get wisely. Certain personality traits, which one would require more work, which is better with kids if you have children or you're thinking of having children, which one is better for whatever works for you. For me, a German Shepherd takes a lot of work. They are dogs that need a job. They're dogs that herd. They're dogs that create a pack, and they're so strong. They're obedient, but also they require a lot of attention. And so for me, I live in the city and I don't have a big yard. We knew when we got her that we would need to go take her to parks all the time and go for walks and things like that. So she is a lot of work for us, but we are cut out to do it, honestly. We put the work in. The sad thing is when you see people that have dogs like this, that they don't do that for them, then they get really fat, or they die sooner, or their heart is failing, or they just aren't living the life they should be living, and it's not fair to them. So just do your research before you get the kind of dog you get. Another piece of advice is, especially if you're getting a puppy, or no matter what, puppy, adopted, whatever, as soon as you get them to the house, start training them. But you want to train them for everything you want them to do. And potty training is a big one, but you have to train early because they're going to pick up on the things you allow them to do, and they're going to pick up quickly on the things that you don't want them to do. So you have to be strict and you have to stick with it, no matter if they're not getting it right away or if it takes a while. Be strict and stick with it. Something else that helps is to alternate your dog's toys. They will get bored of those toys and they won't last forever. You'll eventually figure out which one ends up being their favorite. You'll have a few that'll last longer than others. But this isn't sponsored, but there is a subscription that you can get called BarkBox. I loved that for Ember for the first year or so of her because they supplied you with toys specifically for your dog. You can pick the breed and everything, and they would show up to the door with different toys or treats or food, and that would be curated to your dog. So I highly recommend BarkBox. And if you don't do BarkBox, just make sure you're alternating toys. The next piece of advice I would give is to get your dog fixed ASAP. For us, I had never had a female dog before, and so I knew that it was going to be new. I knew that we were expecting her to have her periods and things like that, but it is not an enjoyable experience, especially if you have a bigger dog. Putting her in dog diapers and having her stay in the dog diapers was nearly impossible. I had to basically put Women Depends diapers on her and then staple them to fit her for them to stay on, and it was just a nightmare. So get your dog fixed ASAP. The next piece of advice is for you specifically. Puppies are gonna have accidents, and so are dogs that are just newly adopted. It's all new to them and it's gonna take them time. So please be patient and just have grace with them. My biggest piece of advice in the beginning is to get a kennel based on the size of your dog and kennel train them to start, and then give them freedom little bits at a time until you don't need it anymore. We used to have a kennel that we would put her in every night for bed, and she hated it. She would scream, when I say scream, I mean bark like crazy all night. She would be really upset with us and try to get out, but we never let up, and we kept her in that kennel and we kennel trained her until we kind of would let her have a little freedom here or there. One of the first things she learned to do, it was kind of a shocking thing that she learned because it was a little more difficult than the average trick that a dog can learn, is kennel up, and she would run to her kennel and we'd leave the door wide open and it would be her safe space. So I think she actually enjoyed it. We never really used it as punishment, but we knew that was where she went, and eventually she learned that's where she goes for bed, or that's where she goes before we go somewhere. Now we got rid of the kennel, that haven't used it in years at this point. She never goes potty in the house and hasn't since she was 3 months old. Another piece of advice, practice off-leash walks. You want your dog to stay with you and know you are their owner, and then hopefully they won't run away. At least my dog that I had as a family dog, that was Max. He was an American Bulldog boxer. And this dog that I have now, which she is a long-haired German Shepherd, full-breded, but she doesn't leave us. She doesn't leave our side unless there's squirrels or other dogs. That's a different story, but there will be dogs that the second they get off leash, they're gone, and she is not like that. So I highly recommend, especially as a puppy, because they're not very fast yet, taking them off leash somewhere that there aren't any other animals and you can feel safe doing that. Highly recommend it. Just have them walk with you. Know that like they want to come back to you, because I always have full faith that even if she runs away, she'll come back to me. I also recommend getting the proper vaccinations for your dog, like rabies and bordetella, things like that. I don't get her the flu shot, but I do get her like Lyme, the heartworm, things like that. Definitely want to do that for your dog. You don't want them to be in pain or catch something. And also you want to sign them up for the proper boarding places. If you ever want to go on trips or if you ever need a daycare for a dog, I highly recommend doing that. And if you're going to do that, you need them vaccinated. So kind of hand in hand. And lastly, make sure you acclimate your dog to other dogs. It's really important. If they aren't around other dogs, it can become a problem in your future for other friends that have dogs or families that have dogs. And for our case, we took Ember always to parks with other animals, and she did really well for a long time. And then after she got spayed, something changed. And now she's extremely defensive and really territorial. You put toys in the mix and it's a problem. It's really rare that somebody can get along with her. She's a great dog and she gets along with, amazingly with humans and with our daughter. But when it comes to other dogs, it's like a totally different story. So I highly recommend getting them acclimated to dogs and in keeping with that too. And, make sure you discipline them properly. Those are all the ones that I wrote down and I kind of like jotted to tell you guys, and I wanted to communicate those with you. If you have any questions for me, feel free to put them in the comments below. If you want me to do another video like this and you have any other requests, also let me know those too. I will have all my information down below in the description box. If you're curious, I have my Instagram handle, and I will also have my email for you. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and I hope this helps any of you new dog owners. Bye guys.